out of Iran at the moment with the communications blackout. What are you hearing from the people you know there about what this is like? Of all the protests that we've seen, what this feels like now?
Thank you for having me. Yes, internet and communications blackout. It's also mobile phones, very little communication inside the country, only landlines between people in some places work. It's been very difficult to paint a clear picture. As your reporters have also suggested, there has been a very brutal, deadly crackdown of these protests that were spreading like wildfire across the country. And initially, it looked like the response was a little bit moderate or an approach of wait and see, maybe try to meet with some of the leaders of these protests in the Tehran Bazaar. But then eventually we saw that the iron fist approach came in the second week. And now we're hearing that the death toll is high, is rising, potentially the deadliest crackdown of mass protests, and many thousands injured and also many arrested, which can have very serious consequences. When we speak to people on the ground, they say that it does feel different. The amount of anger and these pent-up grievances that people have had every time there's been protests and a violent crackdown, people go back home, but the grievances have not really been addressed, and life has just gotten worse for Iranian middle classes, working classes, and this is just a culmination of all of those grievances on top of each other.
When we hear that President Trump is weighing up his options for intervention, including military options, is that what's needed? Is the time for that now?
It depends on what is going to happen. I mean, I'm interested to know what the options are because U.S. track record of military intervention in the Middle East has not really been successful. Yes, the U.S. Army is very mighty, has a lot of hard power in the Middle East. But when we look at examples of regime change intervention, Iraq, Afghanistan, these have been seen as failures even by U.S. presidents. They've been criticizing, including the current president, their predecessors. Now, President Trump has said that he doesn't want to commit boots on the ground. That leaves very little options. Is that going to be aerial bombardment? What are going to be the targets? Are we looking at a Libya model? Is it something that's going to help protesters on the ground? I'm not exactly sure how that would work. Or is it going to just unleash more chaos and also bring a response, a violent response back from the Iranian regime, not just at the protesters, but also at the U.S. and potentially, as they've said, also targeting Israel.
And if it was to lead to the regime toppling, and of course we've heard that how many times before now, but if that was to be the case, what would be the solution? Is that Reza Pahlavi in exile for almost 50 years here in the U.S.?
I'm not sure. I mean, he does have a base inside Iran. We hear some protesters chanting his name, certainly not everyone. He also has a lot of opposition in various political groups inside the regime, also in the opposition. So I don't really see him as a complete unifying power. And also the movement that's on the ground, I don't think has enough strength and power to do this kind of change on its own. With a foreign military intervention, again, I can't think of successful models like that, foreign military intervention and then reinstating or bringing a leader to the country. So it's hard to see how this would lead to sort of a better governance or more democracy, nation building in Iran, but it's certainly something that a group of certain parts of the Iranian society have been calling for, and it's growing both inside the country and there's also a support base outside.
We saw the president announce sanctions. We see European leaders talking about the need for more sanctions as well. Is that an answer at this time?
Well, Iran is one of the most, if not the most, sanctioned country in the world. And actually, I want to emphasize the current state of the economy is partially a result of these very severe sanctions, as President Trump called it, maximum pressure, which is, of course, combined with massive corruption and mismanagement of resources inside the country. So the regime is first and foremost responsible, but also under the shadow of sanctions. So I'm not quite sure how much more, what else is left really to sanction. Every major industry in Iran has been sanctioned. And so at least in short term, I don't think layering more sanctions is going to have a huge impact, especially policy changing impacts. But I think the path to diplomacy and negotiations, if that's something that's seriously taken by the U.S., may be an off-ramp out of this chaos, both internally in the country and also potentially the threats of military engagement between Iran and the U.S. and Israel.
Okay. Negar Mortazavi, thank you for joining us here on BBC News.
Thanks for having me.